Hey, Tim Sykes here, video lesson time during a live challenge webinar. Always fun to try to do multiple things at once. So many plays going on. It is awesome. Now locked in roughly 7 grand on the month, over 30 days, a little more. 12K now year to date, a little over 50K. Again, I trade for charity. I trade small. I trade like a coward. I'm missing plays. This is not best case scenario at all. I got to give props to students like J-Ray up 600, Walshy nailing SECO, Tim Tran nailing MNST, K-Fox making $1.50 on MNTS, Eastwag nailing TPST. Students like Edgar, who made nearly $1 a share on TPST. Sean made nearly $1 a share on MNST. Mindstrong, I love this comment. Mindstrong says, Tim Sykes is a genius. I never traded this way. TPST in at 451, out at 493. Made 336 total, 536 on the morning. Time for a walk and much gratitude. I am not a genius, okay? I appreciate that, but all I am showing you is, what I've learned over the past quarter of a century in the stock market, which is crazy. You should think about different ways to trade. I don't really like trading short squeezes either, but I'm trying my best, and I'm proud to pass it down to you. Rocky Mountain also nailed TPST. Cornbread nailed TPST. Don Trader nailed MNTS. Divine Trading nailed TANH. Tim Tran nailed TPST. We also have plays like SECO spiking. OPGN was spiking. BTTR was spiking earlier, but it can't hold it. A lot of these low price plays can't hold it. I'll go over all of these individually, but I just want to kind of give like a high level overview. We're getting lots of crazy spikers, and you got to learn to try to ride the spikes, but also remember to sell. Don't worry if you sell too soon. Don't worry if you miss the play. You're just trying to ride the hype, but never, ever believe it. I should also mention we just have a few more seats now for my conference, October 26th and 27th. We got a bigger room. It's going to be crazy. Over a dozen of my millionaire students and I are going to be trading live, answering questions. Everyone like seeing each other. Really kind of cool that we're going to just flex being real in an industry full of fakes. And I'm really excited to see many of you in Vegas in just a few days. I'll post a link below this video if you do want to tune in or come in person, which I think you should. I also want to talk about shorts, because all of these spikes are made possible by short sellers. And if you follow me on Twitter, if you follow my commentary, you know that I've really railed against short sellers. Not that short selling is an unprofitable strategy for everybody. A lot of my top students do it, but it is so dangerous for newbies. And you have to understand, my business is teaching newbies. I want to be very clear about that, okay? I have to protect newbies from themselves, from their lack of execution, from their lack of experience. Very, very dangerous to short any of these. Even though they do drop, you just don't know how high they're going to go. TPST in particular, this is just the past 3 days, but you can see here, it basically went from the 20-cent area up to $11 a share. It did come down, 60, 70%, but it went up 20 times. And I know a lot of traders, newbies, bigger traders, intermediate traders, they thought that it could not go any higher in the 2s or the 3s. And you can see the massive volume here. This is short sellers just getting crushed. And then this is short sellers blowing up. And then this is, some actual blow ups, like losing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, like a lot of short sellers do, but they don't talk about it publicly. Remember, short sellers are under investigation. There's multiple investigations going on with short sellers right now. So if, they try to talk down to you, if they try to be condescending, like they many times are, I know the short selling world very, very deeply. I used to be part of it. Do not listen to their condescending attitude. they might be right the majority of the time, but all it takes is one to blow up, and you never know which one it's going to be. So you're always playing with absolute fire and destruction. This is why, if you do know the short sellers, they're so obsessed with their health because, they have gray or white hair, even though they might be in their 30s or 40s. They have terrible health. They're obsessed with health. Like, because their health is failing so bad due to their strategy and stress levels, they go extra hard and they do like 75 hard, and they wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, not just because they think they're being healthy, but because they need to. Their strategy requires that in order to get locates. It's a miserable existence. So I want to be clear about that, but we also have to be grateful to them, because without short sellers, stocks like TPST would never spike this high. That is the gift and the curse of short sellers. They inadvertently create these great squeezes as they buy to cover en masse. Remember, there's all these little shady brokers that have opened up in the past few years due to the demand. And aside from just trading, there's locate fees, there's borrow fees, there's expenses, and the brokers are cleaning up. And you have to understand, the brokers can call back those shares. The locate fees add up, especially if they hold short over the weekend. It's really a difficult niche to profit in if you're a newbie. It's very easy to blow up. And again, I'm not trying to rip on short sellers. They can rip on themselves enough just with their very existence and toxic leper, mentality. But I am thankful for them. And I got to highlight, why this happens. A lot of it started with this. This was David, great guy, short seller a year ago. He lost, he went for a negative $800,000 ride that could have cost him his career. This was last year on ILAG. And this was a year ago. I wrote a blog post multiple years ago about Supernova season in October. But this was ILAG last October. And it spiked up from 1 to 12, which looks, not too bad on the chart, but it is. HKD also was the big one, and it doesn't look like much on the chart here. Wow. They really diluted the hell out of it. So now you can't even see the big spike. This was the big spike on HKD back last year. And these kinds of super spikes laid the framework, because now all bets are off when these stocks can spike. So TPST, nice 20 times spiker. This is what short seller nightmares are made of, because they're no one ever starts adding big, but they're adding a little, and then they're trying to short more and outlast the squeeze. And many times, and many of the richest short sellers can do that. The problem with newbies is that you can't judge how high it's going to go. You don't have enough capital or experience or know-how to outlast the squeeze. So you lose $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 a share. And, whether you lose your entire account or half your account, it's just not worth the risk. From the long side, it's fantastic. And if you've been, seeing my trades, I'm trading MNTS today as I make this video lesson. MNTS is a nice squeezer, not 20 cents to, $12, but nice $3 to $5, back down to $3, back to the fives. Good volatility on MNTS. And this is a heavily shorted name. TPST is coming back. As I was just saying in my challenge webinar, the interesting thing is that a lot of these squeezes are very choppy and very unpredictable. This one actually follows technical analysis to a T. Like, it tried to break out here past Friday's highs in 570, and it failed. And I can only imagine some short sellers being like double top. And you have to understand, it's not just one short seller, because these short sellers like to congregate in groups in Discord chat rooms. And a big problem with short selling, very similar to how promoters used to be, they encourage people to follow their lead. Okay. If you're in my challenge, if you're in my chat room, if you've watched my video lessons, I say do not follow alerts from anybody. learn from other people's alerts, learn to, try different strategies and patterns, and then use that and build your own process, but never follow anybody else. Short sellers don't say that. Short sellers say these companies are scams. Dilution Tracker says blah, blah, blah. This company is going to drop. And again, the majority of the time, they're right. These stocks are crap. They do drop. They do toxic financings. So the short sellers aren't wrong in their research. The problem is with their whole approach and these, again, groupthink leper chat rooms and communities where they encourage them. They say, I'm shorting here. Everybody else should try to short too. Why? Because they want to push the price down by working together. And a lot of these short sellers work with these shady brokers where they are sharing in the commissions. They're sharing in the locate fees. So if you, as a newbie, follow this short seller into the stock and you pay the commission to their, recommended broker and you pay the expense for the locate fee, the short seller is cleaning up. And that's how a lot of these chat rooms and these communities make their money. I, on the other hand, do not work with any brokers. I do not share any commissions. You might understand why with the way I talk about brokers. But that way I can be non-biased. That way I can be blunt. That way I can help you cut through all the industry BS. Remember, this is an industry where 90% of traders lose. So I haven't even looked yet, but I don't have to look because I know how short sellers operate. I know how this industry operates. I can guarantee you, without a doubt, that even though there's only like 1 or 2 red candles here, short sellers were just, licking their chops at the thought of a potential double top here in the 5s, thinking they're going to cover in the 4s or the 3s, and this is going to be the top. And I can guarantee you that they told their groupthink chat rooms, get the borrow on TPST, short it here for the double top. And for a few minutes, they're right. It does go down from the 580s down to the 530s. I can only imagine how many short sellers it took to push this down. They're all trading in unison. But then what happens? Uh-oh, not a double top, and it's a breakout. And this whole move from 580 up to 740. And I mean, this is at 10:54 a.m. This is 11:15 a.m. So in 20 minutes, it spikes nearly $2 a share. This is a short squeeze. When the double top fails, and it's a beautiful squeeze, in hindsight, I should have bought. I got wrecked on this on Friday. I was still up on Friday, but I got wrecked trying to buy this, and it just couldn't bounce. This is part of the reason, because it succeeded so well in dropping on Friday, that gave short sellers the illusion of confidence that it's going to drop again like this. And this, maybe some short sellers, maybe 3 chat rooms got together and they all shorted together and they, crushed the momentum, which is surprising because usually the momentum is good on a Friday. But all of that, deception and all of this dropping led to the squeeze on Monday. So this is what's interesting, where some people say, Tim, you're basically saying buy these stocks that usually fail, these failed one-day runners. In DVDs in years past, you always say ignore the one-day runners, ignore the plays that fail like this. Yes, but this is an inverse market, as I've been saying in many, many, many video lessons, watch lists, and webinars. And TPST is a perfect example of how this was perfect short selling action, and it led to this perfect short squeeze on Monday. And it wasn't just a perfect short squeeze. If you, missed the breakout, guess what? It actually had 2 opportunities to buy right here in the 570s and 580s. Technical analysis 101. Former resistance becomes support. So you could theoretically dip buy this too. I didn't, again, because I learned the hard lesson on Friday. I banked on this breakout. I did call this, but I lost on this. And when you lose, especially not just when you lose big or small, but when the stock just completely cannot bounce, it really takes the confidence out of me. And then today, I kind of wish I hadn't been there on Friday, or I didn't trade it, or, in a better world, I learned from my mistake and now, trade it differently on Monday. That's why I'm making this video. You can't just rely on the previous day or the previous month or the previous year like you used to. You have to be open to realizing that this is a short squeeze market. And because of how many shorts there are, how many short selling chat rooms there are, how the short sellers have promoter like tactics where they encourage people to follow them in just because of their whole business model, that creates these short squeezes. This kind of a move would not exist without the short sellers. So you might think that like I'm talking crap about the short sellers. I'm just explaining how it works. I want you to learn. Like I get so many messages from people being like, oh my God, I paid so much in commissions. I paid so much in locate fees. It's so scary. I had no idea how the industry worked. So it's my honor to cut through the BS. At the same time, the good news is short sellers don't listen to me. They don't listen to pretty much anybody else. They're very, very narrow-minded. I could explain this to my dying day and they won't change and they'll have to blow up first. And then sadly, I get a lot of messages from short sellers who have lost 50, 75, 100, 200% of their account. Remember, you can lose more than you put in as a short. And they're like, I wish I would have listened. I don't need the I told you so's. All I can do is try to teach, and anybody who listens, you can pay attention or you can't. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to tell you what I think and what I see. But if you ever wonder why I'm so pumped about plays like this, it's because of bad action like this. Bad action like this sets up good action like this. The bad creates the good. The sweet isn't as sweet without the sour. That is the kind of market that we're in right now. And I know it's not easy to understand. I know some people are like, short sellers say like, oh, Sykes has this whole BS narrative. I'm just telling you what I see. And I'm telling you, the way that I think about this market and how I'm trying to trade these, short squeezes. Like I never would buy a play like MNTS. This is a crap company. It's a very choppy chart. But if you look at my trades, from the get-go, if you were in the chat at the market open today, I said, watch this. It's spiking. I didn't even have a great entry here in the 430s. I was buying it here and it had already spiked nearly $1 a share. So some people are like, aren't you scared to chase? Yes, I am. But at the same time, when you see it spiking so much, like it can really keep going. And I encourage small positions, right? Like you don't want to go big and be like, oh, this is definitely the next big thing. Small positions are fine. You try to make 50 cents or $1 a share. I don't worry about selling too soon. Let me just go back to my solid win on Friday. Some people were giving me crap about this too. They're like, why are you buying this midday? I get it. In past DVDs and past years, I say don't trade midday, but we are in an inverse market. That's why I always say don't just memorize my patterns. You have to try to understand, why are these patterns working? Why are there so many short sellers? Why does that create short squeezes? Why do so many short sellers create opportunity? You really need to start to think about how this stuff is working rather than just memorizing specific stuff, because markets change and you have to change too. This was one of my best trades in a while. And again, very small position. I actually tried a bigger position. I only got a partial position, roughly 1,600 shares. I was trying, I think, for 3,000 or 4,000 shares, but it moved so fast. And that's why I'm saying, if these plays move without you, if they spike faster, don't worry about it. It's okay to get partial positions. I still made nearly $1 a share on TPST. But again, I had a nice profit. I was all excited, but then I got a little too cocky because then I was trying to dip buy it on the way back down. I did go bigger and it just didn't bounce at all. And the only thing I did well here was cut losses. So if you ever are in any of these short squeeze plays, and for whatever reason, whether you're buying it on the way up and you see like there's a brick wall of sellers, or you're buying it on a dip and it's just not bouncing, it's okay to get out. Like I said, these things are very, very choppy. So I'm happy just to try to win. And if you feel that they're too choppy, it's okay not to trade them. Don't feel like you have to trade them. I just see this is the pattern that's in play. So I'm going to trade TPST. My Femi over the weekend play didn't do much, so I just cut losses. And then MNTS today, is a big spiker. So I'm trying to trade these spikes. But try to trade them when there's a lot of volume, when you see this short squeeze activity. Look at the big volume spike here. it's really tough to trade it here where there's not a lot of volume. It's choppy. It could break out. It could fail. Like even now in the afternoon, after this big short squeeze, now it's back to choppiness and fading. And so then short sellers will say, well, now it's probably over. Maybe it is, but you never know if there's going to be like another spike. This is the problem with short selling. Like you have to watch it every single second. I know some short sellers where they get up and they go eat lunch. They make a sandwich and they come back and they're down $1 a share or $2 a share, like within seconds. You know, if you have to go to the bathroom, like it's a really tough way to live if you're a short seller because it could just start squeezing really fast. Versus if you're long biased and, you know, you go on about your day, make a sandwich, go work out, you know, watch some plays, whatever, but you only trade when it is specifically squeezing like this. And I think that's just a better risk reward play. I think it's better for newbies. It's more exciting, you know, like I was like just cheering this morning on MNTS when I caught this, before the halt. You know, these things also halt, that you have volatility halts up and down. And it's difficult. Today, and this is what was interesting. So, one last thing I want to mention, you know, TPST, I did not trade it today. Okay. I completely missed out on this opportunity, and it's actually probably the best spiker that follows, you know, technical analysis. Like I said, the breakout above Friday's high, and then it holds the breakout. In hindsight, I coulda, woulda, shoulda traded it today. But I learned the hard lesson from Friday, and I did not trade it. MNTS, I learned from TPST. Because on MNTS, okay, I had the good profit, very similar to TPST, buying it as it's breaking out on the spike, nailed it. But this second trade, where I actually made money on the dip, normally I should not do this because, as TPST proved yesterday, the dip buys don't work. But because the dip buys didn't work on Friday and today is an opposite day on Monday, you can try the dip buys. That's how you have to think. That's why I wanted to make this video so bad. It's so annoying because normally you want to say, okay, Friday dip buys didn't work. Monday dip buys won't work. Okay, I'm following the pattern. No. When the dip buys don't work on Friday and you're playing a short squeeze stock, you have to think inverse. It's like one of these annoying things. It's like if you try to watch the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet, right? Where it's all like backwards, or his older movie Memento. You're like, Tenet was really frustrating to watch. I think it's like my least favorite movie of his. And it's very frustrating because there's like a backwards world. Or if you watch Stranger Things on Netflix and you have, what is it? The upside down world. Like that's what's going on here. And it's because of the short sellers. So you have to identify the short squeeze stocks, which, you know, are just the biggest runners like TPST, MNTS, OPGN was running. Yep. OPGN is running again now too. SECO was running. Nice little run. These are the short squeeze stocks, and I encourage you to use the Stocks to Trade breaking news tool. They're alerting all of the squeezes. They're alerting all the news catalysts. And you focus on these short squeeze stocks, and then you try to stay open to this kind of like inverse pattern. And you learn from recent spikes. You learn to dip buy. You learn not to dip buy. You got to try to think opposite. And I know it's going to hurt your brain. It reminds me of, like, you know, I was a philosophy major in college, and a lot of the philosophy texts, like, it hurts my brain to think about. I was not a good philosophy student, but I liked it because it made me think different. And I think that's helped me with trading. It's helped me with teaching, and it specifically helps me in this market. So again, if you're brand new, this might be above you, like go in one ear, out the other, because you're just like, I just want to learn what, you know, what the float is. I get it. This is not like a simple strategy, but if you are up for the challenge, it's really cool to practice these short squeeze plays. And again, let me just, you know, re-emphasize this. These are not good companies. They are not companies to hold. They're not companies to invest in. The shorts are not wrong in their research. The problem with shorts is there's too many of them, and they're like this invasive species, and they're just overloading these stocks, and it creates inverse price action, which is a short squeeze. I'll talk more about this at the conference in 2 weeks. I'm actually, or less than 2 weeks now. I'm working on the presentation every day. I'm really excited. That's the market that we're in. And you got to try to adapt to whatever the market is giving you. You got to try to take advantage of it. If you don't want to trade it, again, it's fine. It's complicated. I've been doing this a quarter of a century and it's still complicated for me. It's complicated as I listen to myself trying to explain this. But this is what I see happening. And, again, thank the short sellers. You see me trying to give them crap on Twitter. They're very emotional. I used to do the exact same strategy with promoters. Promoters used to hate it. Short sellers hate it. Short sellers are the new promoters. We must thank them. We must warn about them. Be very careful if you are a short seller. I can only imagine some of the short sellers listening to this and they're chuckling and they're like, oh, Sykes is overthinking it. These are just crap companies. They're going to do dilutive financings. You're not wrong. They do financings, dilutive financings. What was that? BNOX was a short squeeze play and it just got, crushed. But again, I just don't think it's worth the risk to short these, not to mention the stress. It's a very, little talked about point, but a lot of the best short sellers, they really look like crap in person. They really look like crap. They feel like crap. They think like crap. They're crap. It's a really tough way to go about living where you're looking for the worst in every company. You're looking for failure. We haven't studied the brain enough to really see how these strategies affect the brain, but I'm pretty sure that if you're always looking for failure and you're always looking for the worst, it's going to affect your life too. Even if you make money, a lot of these short sellers, even when they make money, they don't really celebrate. They're like robots. I've been around a lot of short sellers when they've made a lot of money. And again, I used to be one of these short sellers, so I know how they think. It's a very miserable existence. So I'm just warning you. I can't do any more than that. If you are a short seller, I do appreciate your sacrifice. There's no other way to say it. You sacrifice your health, your wealth, your entire life to be part of these toxic Discord, leper, groupthink chat rooms. And we longs appreciate it because frankly, the promoters aren't doing much. AI, had a lot of promise, but the stocks are crap. The best plays every single day lately are these short squeezes. So I'm watching MNTS. You see, look at the difference. I'm filming this live during a challenge webinar. I'm excited to see what the comments are in a second. But look at the morning versus the afternoon. This is the last point that I'll make. This is short squeeze type activity. This is just, what the stock would do without short sellers. This is short squeeze activity. This is what happens, when it's just normal trading. Focus on this kind of short squeeze price action. You'll start to see it over and over again, and the plays exhibit very similar qualities, and they can go up 50 cents, $1, $2 a share. And you have students like, Edgar. I mean, look at this. I love this student, Edgar. And by the way, tweet at me your trades. I don't care if you're paper trading. I don't care if you're trading 47 shares. I don't care if you're trading 4,700 shares. This is awesome that, Edgar with a small account is showing how to make nearly $1 a share. And the number one criticism I get is Sykes teaches people to make $50, $100, $200. They're pikers. Correct. All of my 30 plus millionaire students started out making $10, $20, $50, $100. The beauty of trading and the beauty of this tweet by Edgar is that while he's learning with just 47 shares and he's making nearly $1 a share, in the future, when he has enough trades under his belt and more experience, he can do the exact same trade with 470 shares, 4,700 shares, maybe eventually even 47,000 shares. And if you get to that level, like some of my top 7 and now 8-figure students have, it's the same trade. And it's on trades like this where you can make $40,000 in a few minutes. You're using the same skill set, but you don't want to go too big too soon. You want to start small. I always encourage students to paper trade to learn to grow their account with a foundation of knowledge, a foundation of experience. Scale up over time. But this is the exact kind of trade where you can bank later on and you make, a yearly salary in a few minutes. That's the beauty of trading. It might not seem like it yet for Edgar, and I'm sure Edgar already has some haters. But this is why I teach trading. This is why I love trading. So capitalize, learn from this, leave a comment below this video. I'll post a link to my conference. I'm excited to see so many of you in person. We'll go over this. Hopefully we'll get some squeezes on the 26th and 27th so you can see it live in Vegas. Cheers.